Good evening. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and it's currently Sunday, May 3rd, actually. And I want to touch base on today's daily recap of events that affect the way you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. And today I want to talk about two really, really critical things that you need to do. Okay, actually you don't need to do, but the states need to do before they reopen. And I'll get to that in just a few minutes. And we start off every night with the current confirmed COVID cases. Right now there's 1,154,000 cases in the U.S. right now. Okay, over 67,000 deaths right now in just the last 9 weeks. About 175,000 have recovered. That number really hasn't changed in the last couple of days. So the cases keep picking up, the deaths keep picking up, the recovery rate is really not moving at all. Okay, 175,000 cases isn't a lot of people that actually got to recover from this thing. Now, right now in New York State, there's over 316,000 cases right now, over 24,000 deaths, close to 25 actually, 18.9 thousand in New York City. Now, that hasn't changed too much. It went up a little bit, but not too much. New Jersey still has the second highest number with 126,000, almost 127,000 cases right now. 7.8 thousand deaths. That went up just a shade from yesterday. Not much, but just a little bit. So they're holding up okay. Okay, their numbers keep growing, but they're holding to a level that's livable, if you can say that, with this number of people that are getting sick and dying. Now, the numbers keep growing every day, and the deaths are slowing, which is a nice thing. But each one of these cases is a personal tragedy. Okay, it's taking a toll on the individuals and their families, okay, and the communities where they live. And I want to mention just a few of them right now. There's Desanne Romaine. She was 36, only 36. She was a principal at Brooklyn High School for students who just struggled and fell behind. And she pushed disadvantaged people, okay, to succeed, building a reputation for tough love, okay, and sharing her own story of growing up as an immigrant in New York City. Okay. These are people that, keep putting out continually. Okay, she's out there, and again, it's hard enough playing teacher, playing principal. You got to work with the students, with the staff, okay, and with the administration. So she did a hell of a job. But again, she was relatively young. John Prine, he was 37. I'm sorry, 73. He sang, he wrote, he performed songs about faded hopes and failing marriages, flies in the kitchen, and desperation of people that were just getting by. He was one of those people who put songs into things, and a lot of his songs, one of them was Broken Hearts and Dirty Windows. Not my style of things, but again, he's an artist, okay, in his 70s, and he passed on. There's Patricia Friesen. He's 61. Okay. Her and her sister Wanda are 63. Both of them. Okay. Both sisters, Patricia and Wanda. Okay. They lived in a really close-knit family, and they had really deep faith in God. And their faith was shaken when Patricia became the first patient in Illinois to die of the COVID virus, and was further devastated when Wanda died just a few days later. Again, this is a very fast-moving thing. It really is. And you get two people, okay, in a matter of days in the same family that died. Now, Larry Rothgeb, he was 70. He was actually 90. He was in charge of engineering race cars for Chrysler during the heyday of the stock racing cars. His team famously broke a world record on closed race courses. Okay. 2 days before his 50th anniversary of that automotive achievement, in March 27th, he died after contracting COVID in his West Bloomfield, Michigan senior living facility. Again, this is a senior engineer. Okay. He did phenomenal things. He was an active kind of guy. And he just passed on. Okay. Then there's Leanne Jordan. She's 27, only 27. She's a clerk at a grocery store at a Giant, and She had an overwhelming desire to help others. She was nicknamed Butterfly. She kept going to work despite the risks. And just a few weeks before she passed on, she said, "Mommy, I'm going to work because no one else is going to help the senior citizens get their groceries." 2.5 weeks later, her mother held her as she died. These are just a few of the names behind the numbers. Okay, they will be missed. And what this means is that everyone, every day that we lose more and more people, okay, friends, relatives, co-workers, okay, and it makes an impact on us. Now, right now, the states want to reopen. The president's actually been pushing it, okay, and the states want to reopen too. I mean, their economies are not happy, okay, people are not happy, and that's what we're going to be hearing about for the next few weeks. And there's two critical things you need to understand about reopening, okay, two very, very critical things. Now, there are more and more protests every day, and many of the states, they have very vocal small groups of people that are not wearing masks, okay, they're not keeping social distancing, and they're all strapped up, okay, carrying the 38s and 45s, and their assault rifles. I mean, it's a protest. Do you need an assault rifle? Who are you trying to impress? Most of these guys were not in the service at all. They're basically service wannabes. Most people in the service have a whole lot more respect than what I've seen coming out of these people. Again, I spent time in the service. I understand what's going on. These guys are not it. Now, it's scary because what are they trying to do? Who are you trying to intimidate with carrying those weapons? I mean, the police don't appreciate it. If you're a cop on the street in an open carry state, you got a rough game. You got a real rough game. You don't know what to do. They have a weapon with him at that point in time. It's clearly out in the open. You know your risks are really, really big. But these people are carrying these things at a protest, and they've got their finger on the triggers, basically. It's an amazing thing. Okay? Now, none of these people, though, not one of them, has worked in an ER and ICU. If they did, they'd know better, and they wouldn't do these stupid shit. Okay? They're happy to wear the foil hats and express their opinions, and that's okay. Okay? I see what happens in the next, 3 to 4 weeks with the people at these rallies. See what happens then. Okay? See how many, okay, are still walking around or end up in the ICU someplace. Right now, more than 13 states have already partially reopened, okay, and another 7 have announced a date that they will soon be reopening in the next week or so. Now, current reports are showing that 118 million Americans, slightly more than a third of the population, are living in states that have partially reopened or will be reopening soon. The problem is that none of these states that have opened, okay, have partially opened or have set a date to reopen, have met what's reported by the president himself, the vice president, and the president's own coronavirus task force to be the criteria of a minimum of a 14-day decline in reported cases. So this is, again, the president talking out of both sides of his mouth. Sorry. Okay, this is just how it is. He gets up there one day and he announces with the task force up 14 days on a slowing reported cases before you even consider reopening, and then only partial reopenings. Now he's out there tweeting liberate, 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 stirring these folks up. Okay, you wonder what's going on here. I don't particularly wonder about it. I know what's going on. However, the first thing you need to know, okay, the first thing before you reopen anything is you need to have the testing. Okay, it's the first critical aspect of reopening is the testing. I mean, it's difficult, okay, if you assume that you could reopen relatively safely with adequate testing, which is still not in place for most states. Even then, okay, they're still having a really, really hard time getting all 3 of the testing components together in one spot, okay, in a uniform way. You need the people to do the test, you need the materials to do the test, and you need a lab to process the testing for the results. All 3 of those things are not coordinated. States are doing a hell of a job trying to band together in little groups right now, and within the states try and coordinate these things. But again, this should be a federal response, and it's terribly, terribly lacking. And now, a couple weeks ago, HHS Inspector General made a report that, yeah, the testing isn't there. The supplies are not where they need to be. Lo and behold, what's the president doing right now? He's trying to shit can that person. He's trying to sideline one of the inspector generals from HHS who wrote that report. Again, he hates oversight. He's never had oversight. He's had a family-owned business. It was him and the direct family who ran the business for years and years and years. And he thinks he can come in. He happened on the presidency, and he thinks he can run the United States the same way. Well, there is oversight. Okay? And when this all comes out, it's going to get really, really interesting. And he can try and rewrite things the way he wants to. But he's on tape. He's on tape one day saying one thing. He's on tape the next day saying something totally different. So the results of this are going to get really, really interesting. Now, right now, we've only tested about 2% of the U.S. population. Now, if testing were actually done, and you could assume that, there's going to be a number of flare-ups after the fact, that brings us to the next part. I mean, if you go and reopen, even with the testing done, somebody's still going to get sick somewhere along the line. When that happens, what do you do next? How do you contain those flare-ups? Okay, that's the big question. And that's contact tracing. That's the second thing you need. Okay, we don't have that either at this point in time. Now, this is an absolute recipe for disaster. Without the testing and without the contact tracing, there is no way to reasonably reopen anything. People are going to get a real false sense of security because they're going to be out there. They're already out there in a lot of places. No masks, no social distancing, and they're going to start to have some problems in a few weeks. I'm not trying to predict these things. I'm not wishing it on anybody. It's just the facts. Okay, it's a fast-moving virus. Okay? You could have it and be totally asymptomatic, not showing any signs and symptoms for at least 14 days. After that, you could show very, very small signs and symptoms before it goes full-blown. Okay. This entire time, you're still basically infecting anybody you come in contact with. That's how this thing grows. Now, the Republican governor, okay, he said in a recent briefing, contact tracing is one of the most critical things that you can have to reduce the spread, to speed up the rate of diagnosis, and to halt the outbreaks before they happen. But the state, county, and public health leaders concede that they're not ready to pull out a full-blown rollout of coronavirus tracing just yet. They don't have the contact tracing in place. Okay. There are big problems to solve. Okay. Finding enough workers, putting the technology in place. Okay. The current estimates for Chicago are that they need to be basically 30 contact tracers for every 100,000 people. Meanwhile, they say that only 29 people right now are devoted to the effort. They need at least another 300 to cover the 2 million people they have over in 700 square miles in just one county. Now, on Friday, again, the Republican governor said the estimates for the cost of this are roughly $80 million. National experts agree that the tracing, okay, the contact tracing is a critical, essential element for all states to avoid another surge in COVID cases and an overwhelming flood of patients into the hospitals when that happens. Now, the available tools are limited to slow the virus's spread before the nation develops therapies like vaccines, social distancing, and wearing masks remain the most effective things at this point in time. Now, again, we just don't have the testing in place. There is no vaccine. There is no treatment at this point in time. The only thing that's working in any way, shape, or form is the social distancing and the wearing of masks. Okay, this is a really critical item. But as communities and economies start to relax some of these social distancing rules and restrictions, testing and tracing is the only thing that's going to have right now that's going to be remotely effective. So if communities aren't able to isolate the sick, okay, and quarantine those that are exposed and then rapidly spread the virus, okay, it's real probable, not possible, but probable, that the numbers are going to increase again and bring us back to just where we were with strict physical distancing measures again. Now, I'll touch more on this tomorrow, okay, because it's a critical item and I want to make sure we get into it. But for now, protect yourself and your family. Keep the social distancing. Okay. Keep wearing a mask. Okay. I'll post this video tomorrow. Be on my YouTube channel, The Real Money Doctor. And every day you can go in there. There's a link to a page I set up. And on that page, I've got a special present, something that basically just lighten the area a little bit. Every now and then something motivation, but for the most part, they're light things. And there's a box here as a present. Just go there, see what it is every day. It changes every day. But for now, again, just remember, my only goal is to help you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. Now, I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor. I appreciate you spending some time with me, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow around 7 o'clock. Thank you.